Hi, and welcome to the first proper budget model railways video of 2024. Some of you will have seen a little video that came out a bit earlier, more of that later. And there's all sorts of new bits here, so worth watching through to the end today. I've got a little request for some assistance at the end, which I'm sure people will be able to help with. So I've gone bonkers here really, and I've gone O gauge. I've always had a bit of an interest in O. The problem's been largely the obvious one, which is cost. You have to admit that some of the shunting locos, the Dapol locos in O, are actually very good value for money. You can get them for a couple of £100 new, and they're obviously really impressive locos. But it's the same old problem. It's £200 for the loco, £200 for a small amount of track to build a little shunting layout, and £40 to £50 a wagon, and you need 8, 9, 10 wagons. So you're easily up to £700 or £800, which is way out of my budget. So for a long while, I've been quietly looking around to see if it's possible to do it at a cheaper price. And so far, I've managed to do it on all three important parts, which is rolling stock, locos, and track. So I'm going to talk primarily about the rolling stock today, but what got it started is these locos. So these are Atlas O-gauge shunters. Obviously, they're American outline. Apparently, they were made by Roco in Austria for Atlas. They weigh a ton. Got a great big chunk of weight in there. So compared to, say, the Lima shunter that a lot of people start with, which doesn't really have any weight, and this one I picked up for £30. Doug's serviced it. Appears to be a really good runner. We'll let you know when we get the track, which is why I'm not going to talk too much about these today until we've had a chance to run them and see. But at £30, that's obviously an awful lot less if it runs well than the Dapol one. And there's actually another loco, but we'll talk about that when we do locos. So having realised I could get a loco, it then meant let's have a look at rolling stock. And the obvious place to go was the Lima wagons. Now these, again, you really do need to shop around for. I've repainted mine, but if you Google, you'll see that they're usually some quite garish colours. The interesting thing is, again, there's people trying to get £40 each for these on eBay, which is the same price as a new Dapol wagon. I paid £10 for these. I bought them in a job lot. I've repainted them. That one's just been black washed and I've put a load in it. Now these actually I bought years ago by mistake. They're 28mm War Games, but painted up they look really good in there. The ones I bought came with coal loads, so that one again's repainted. That wasn't too garish. I quite liked that. So although it's difficult to see on the camera, I've weathered it, muted it down a bit, and that looks rather nice. And each one of those only cost me £10. Certainly I wouldn't pay the £40 some people are asking. They're plastic wheels and they're very basic, but they paint up fine for what I want to do. I was quite taken with the ferry vans. I like ferry vans, and this is the Lima one. Now that took nearly almost a week of evenings to paint. Several coats of paint, very careful black washing and dry brushing to pick out the detail, weathering using a brush on the wheels, and road dirt on the side. But you do really get a sense of something in O gauge, which is what I like. And again, I paid, actually paid £10. I bought 3 wagons. For 4 wagons for £40. The other one was a US wagon that I'm going to sell. Again, these are, you will see people asking for nearly £40 for these, which defeats the whole object for me. But if you hunt around, certainly I've been able to get them a bit cheaper. I've got a couple coming which cost me 20. I don't mind paying 20, but I'm certainly not going to pay the £40 that some people are asking. But I'm really pleased with the way that's painted up. Now there is a massive choice of these tank wagons. Again, for £10, I thought I'd give that a go and it'll look quite good. I'm not so sure about these. They're a little bit too plasticky, possibly. I might use the chassis to make a passenger coach. Not sure about those at the moment. Now, obviously, the only problem with these is it kind of defeats the object of trying to do them as small as possible, because they're nearly double the length of a shorter wagon, but they're the only box wagon that's available. Now, Doug has promised me that at some point he will design me a 3D printed body to fit these, which I think would not only be useful for us, but I think there might be a demand from the hobby trade, from people who would think that was useful. But he is extremely busy with uni work at the moment. So it's going to take some time for us to get round to that. But compared to what I have been doing, which is N, little bit different. I would have liked to be able to talk about track, but unfortunately I've got some Lima track for quite a good price on eBay. But over the Christmas break, unfortunately, one thing and another, it's going to take the seller about 2 weeks to post it off to me. And then obviously Royal Mail will sit on it for another 2 weeks. So in about 2 weeks' time, I should be able to have a video. This will either all work or it won't. So I'll either get the Loco on the track and find actually they're not that great, or I'll find the track doesn't work as well as I liked. I've got no knowledge of the Lima O-gauge points, for instance, at all. My hope is they'll be like the 001s and they'll be usable. If it all works, it'll be less than half the price of doing it new, and will still be quite a bit of fun. If it doesn't work, I haven't paid too much for them. I should be able to move them on. So I'll have about 8 wagons by the time I'm done. I've actually got a couple of those Locos at good prices. Now, what I haven't sorted out yet is couplings. I had a look at 3-link couplings. They're too small for me. I don't mind shunting in N, but if I'm going to do O, I don't want to be pouncing around down there with a few little links of chain. We're looking at perhaps trying to do some 3D printed options, not sure. Now, I got these in a drawer. Now, I did a little video asking what these are, and lots of very helpful people told me Continental. Yes, I know that. I'm sorry to be picky. What I need to know is exactly what is this, because it's this mounting that will work on the wagons, on the screw. So I don't need to know about the coupling. I know it's a Euro coupling. So thank you to all the kind people that answered my questions and said, yep, it's a Euro coupling. I should have been more specific. What mounting is this? What make is this actual coupling with that mounting? Please don't kindly bother me by answer by saying, yeah, it's a Euro coupling. Yeah, I know. I've had quite a few people tell me it's a Bachmann DMU coupling. No, it's not. They have NEM pockets. It's this coupling I want, because I think I can use it to couple the wagons. So if you know exactly what that is, what make, that would be very helpful. And then hopefully I won't find they're £10 each. So there we go. We've gone everywhere from N. We've even toyed with Z at one time. And now we've gone the other way and I'm looking at O. No idea where I'm going to put an O-gauge layout, even a small shunting one. I'm hoping to get it on the shelf in the shed. But at the moment, I am quite enjoying it just as a modelling practice. £10, 2 or 3 good hours fun work making that. It's quite an interesting project. I'm particularly pleased with the way the ferry wagons come up, and again, very cheaply. So it looks, in theory, as if I might be able to do O very cheaply on a budget. The track I've got is double the amount of track at half the price of buying new. The Locos I've got are, well, they're not even a quarter of the price, a sixth of the price of buying a new one. And the wagons are all a quarter of the price of buying new. So in theory, it's possible. So watch this space. I'm still doing N. I've still got a couple of N-gauge layouts rumbling on. And this isn't going to take over. This is a very limited project. 8 or 9 wagons, some Locos. See if I can do it. I don't have the space to do O big time. N still solves most of my problems for me. But just to be perverse, I've gone from N to O. Not sure how many people are going to be interested. We'll find out when we have a look at the viewing figures. But there you go. Something a bit different from Budget Model Railways. This one, by the way, has just been black washed. If you black wash and then leave it flat, you get some really, like that when it dries overnight, you get some really interesting finishes with black washing. So there we go. Very interested to hear what your comments are. Very interested to see if somebody can tell me exactly what those couplings are, rather than their Euro couplings. And we'll be talking to you again, hopefully next week. The track should arrive in about 10 days' time. And then we can have a look and see if the whole project's going to work or not. So a bit of an experiment. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you had a good Christmas. and we'll speak to you again soon.